Welcome welcome all. We have a 10-game NFL slate to talk about here in just a second. And as always, I am joined by former Millie Maker winner Felix, who won it in the best ball street just a couple years ago on DraftKings. He's a big Chargers guy. He had to be happy with the way Kamani Vidal looked last week, and that's going to be a hot topic here later on in this show. But Felix, how are you doing, my man?
Man, it's always a great week to come back to this when my Chargers win. We didn't look great, but we won. That's all that really matters.
That's exactly all that matters. What's up, Broccoli Taco? P. Lally here in the chat. And oh my God, the Shohei Ohtani performance last night.
That was crazy.
Incredible. I mean, that with all the college football on, I watched a lot of Louisville, Miami, and Cal, and then I didn't get to watch too much of Ohtani, but I do like to watch him pitch a lot. I mean, God, just the pitch mix that he has is just insane. That's something I always bet on pitch speeds more specifically, and like Ohtani's pitch mix. And when he's able to throw his splitter, curve, slider, fastball, sinker, it's just how do you hit him? And then sure enough, he goes ahead and hits 3 home runs. Big Ed, how you doing? Richie Smalls knows what's up. The matched. Oh, you know what? Why didn't I lead off with this, Felix? That Boutte call last week. That was saying, man.
Yeah, there's something wrong with my Discord. I feel like I didn't get enough tags there for that.
I made sure to tag you.
I know. I had to search. I searched my name to see if you guys anybody tagged me, but I had to search Booty to see if there was anybody what I actually saw.
Oh yeah, I mean that was incredible call. You
had him on all my teams.
That was perfect, man. And we'll hopefully have more of that this week. Chris Ostra, how you doing, my man? KJ, you know how much I hate my Mahomes guy, but you know what? It is going to be a good slate. Or maybe Chief stacks here, especially with Rashee Rice back this week, man. It's going to look a little bit different in that wide receiver room. Brian, what's up, man? The Dingle Hoppers. I mean, I'm going to assume that's me. And Felix, winning a milli, man. I'm only in the 6-figure club, man. I'm hoping to get to the 7 figures here with Felix one day. All right, guys. Yeah. We will go ahead and talk about this 10-game slate. And just to answer this here, said, if you were to only run one commander on FanDuel, is it Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt at 6.6K or more at 4.6K? I can get Jacobs if going more. You know what? We'll talk about the Commanders here in a second, but Felix, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of lead off with that. Like Chris Moore, obviously being min-priced and stuff.
Yeah.
Would you rather have him, to kind of fit Jacobs on FanDuel? I mean, that 4.6K on FanDuel is almost.
I'd be like more on the sense of that I want Jacobs, and if I can find, a 4K player, then I'll put Chris Moore. I don't typically like the min-priced average wide receiver. I know that we're going against the Cowboys, who are going to be out without Trevion Diggs, but I don't know. I'm not about putting half average wide receivers at 4K in.
I will say this. I that's a huge boost to the Cowboys defense, Diggs being out. Now, that dude was fine all season. I'll say that. Did something really happen at home, or did they tell him, hey, take a seat, man? I'll tell you that. That Cowboys defense has been by far the worst in the league. Yeah. We're going to get to see it this week with a Commanders team that honestly didn't look that bad last week, missing McLaurin. However, missing Devo is going to be another story. You had McCaffrey step up. You have Jalen Lane, who made a big play down the right sideline as well. Ertz stepping up too. And then obviously, Chris Moore is going to be a hot topic here. Didn't he score in that first quarter there?
He did something, yeah. I think that's why everybody's on him.
I think he was on a captain to him because he runs every route for that Commanders team. Personally, I would definitely be all over more because I'm still going to be jamming in a lot of Commanders here because that's been the MO the last 2 weeks. Felix,
it's the Coors Field, man. It's the Coors Field of the NFL.
And now you get them at really, really cheap tags here. I mean, that's going to be something. And Brand Joy, I mean, Jacobs, full participant Friday, right? So that's the last I read. It sounds like Jacobs is going to be in.
I did hear a report that he was dealing with something, but an
illness, right? I think it was. But he was like, it would definitely be something to monitor, though. You know how that can be. Jamar Chase dealt with an illness last week and played too.
Oh my gosh!
I'm not even going to talk about that.
Game. To get old man Joe, man.
Because he was talking about that Bengals Steelers game, Felix. We won't end until 11 o'clock. I'll tell you, I was so thrilled by that. Jason, what's up, man? And then obviously, Rico Dowdle, who that's going to be another talking point that we're on.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Let's go ahead and get started here, Felix. We got 10 games to break down. Just for those wondering, there will be a full playbook up for the morning slate. And if you're wondering what that morning slate is, it's the Rams taking on the Jaguars. And the Rams, Puka Nacua is out, but they also traveled really late, which I am kind of concerned about a little bit, Felix. They traveled out to the London, I think like yesterday or something like that.
I think Sean McVay does that just so they just kind of go out and play. So I think that's his strat.
It's going to be a 6:30 local, like 6:30 for West Coast time kickoff. It's going to be a little bit different. I think I will be on the Jags, and then you have 2 Monday Night Football games as well. So lots to get into. We'll talk about the 10-game main slate on the show. You'll have a bunch of content for all the other slates at Run Pure Sports. Feel free to sign up, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, help us out here. And Felix, let's begin with the Eagles taking on the Vikings. The Eagles here have been struggling offensively for a little bit of time now. However, you are seeing, the main 4 guys, but it was Dallas Goedert who was the last guy to really go off for this team, man. And I'll tell you what, at 4.5K, it feels like Hurts is very comfortable kind of hitting him in these flats, hitting him over the middle. And overall, he's almost been the most consistent because even Saquon has been really inconsistent to this point of the season. Talk to me about the Eagles, and then we'll get into the Vikings after.
So I've been kind of jamming Saquon in the last couple of weeks. Just saw the offset chance that he's going to have one of those breakout games that he's known for, and it just hasn't come yet. And again, I'm going to do it again this week because I do think this is another spot where you can get it, where they can get it. Because Bijan Robinson did it, was it 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and it ran all over them. And I think that's what they're built for. If their offensive line can kind of get it together, Jalen Hurts just kind of looks sloppy, so maybe they're just trying to get him easier passes. And now with they're using the tush push for a little side toss to Goddard to get in, it's been kind of cheeky. It works, so I'm going to play Saquon Barkley, probably 2 TDs, take it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting here too because you obviously cannot trust that pass game at all. I mean, right? That's the number one thing that we can just kind of talk about here is that I can't put my hard-earned money on, Jalen Hurts stacks at all, or even going with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, who aren't priced down yet for their volume. And that's the issue I keep running into, Felix. The Giants handled them 34-17, right? And it was kind of brewing. I mean, I'm not going to say that, anyone was too shocked. I mean, obviously it was surprising that the Giants won, but it was the fashion that they did it in. And again, you had 9 targets for Brown, which was 6 for 80, and a very pass-happy script for the Eagles, which was 33 times. Can you do that against the Vikings? They have been more vulnerable against the run this year than they were last year. They aren't as big of a pass funnel. But if you're not throwing more than 25 times, you can't convince me that Smith and Brown are a good play. I think Goddard's firmly in play at 4.5, but it's, they're going to have to rely on Saquon. You saw it last week, what was it? 33 times on Thursday Night Football. They threw it with Jalen Hurts there. It's not a winning formula. And it's very clear what they need to do. It's Saquon and Jalen. Saquon's going to be at, 15% ownership is what we're projecting right now, or what Steverson's projecting. I mean, I'm willing to take that gamble over any of these other Eagles. And, I could be talking to the Eagles defense potentially too. I know it's on the road, but again, you're going against Carson Wentz, right? Carson Wentz is going to have
and he's kind of banged up right now.
Exactly. And this Vikings offense, they're still searching. And maybe Sam Darnold was that good last year, right? Maybe he was the actual key to that offense kind of clicking. I think the Eagles have this as a get-right game. Sirianni, and, regardless of what people say, Sirianni won a Super Bowl. Sirianni had his team peaking right at the right time. He's a great coach. That team is experienced. That team is going to just go into Minnesota and kind of silence critics, right? And that's my thinking here. The Eagles kind of handle business, but it would be through Saquon, like you said. I think Saquon for me and the Eagles defense would probably be the only guys. And then on the Vikings side here, I mean, we know Eagles games can kind of be on the slower pace too, right? Because with the amount 4 touch pushes in a row is 3 minutes of clock almost, 2 minutes of clock. All of a sudden you got that happening. A lot of plays kind of thin out for the offense. Felix, talk to me about the Vikings.
So, with Carson Wentz, he's not peak Carson Wentz anymore. He's kind of a little bit washed, and they had that really good corner in Philly, and I really don't want to challenge that much. I know Jefferson can beat anybody at any point in time, so I'll probably sprinkle Jefferson in, but I'm not really going to be trying to fit them into my builds. Hawkinson has kind of been taken out of the offense since Addison's been back. And honestly, Addison at his price, I think he's a better price than both of the Eagles wide receivers. So if I'm going to do it, I'm probably going to run, like somebody else said, Saquon with a bring back of Addison, something along those lines.
Yeah, and it's like I like the Addison call too, just because obviously they were on the bye week after they did the whole London thing, right? They played in London week 5. They had week 6 off, and so they're coming off a bye week. If there was one thing that you can kind of make the case for, right, it's them coming off the bye. Addison only ran 3/4 of the routes basically against the Steelers in London. That should bump up to almost
caught by a linebacker.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like, if you went 5 for 41, and you're going to be expecting at least a hefty bump in snaps for him. It's the same thing, though. It's just Eagle. I want to talk about this too. Eagles defense, right? What do you think about them? Because I'm still kind of stuck in 2024.
Well, they lost a few pieces, which I think was a big thing for them. I think I don't know. The Eagles defense is still decent in the box. And their quarterback 2 is kind of where you need to attack, and I think that's why I'm personally targeting Jordan Addison. Their safeties are obviously top tier. The Cooper DeJean top tier, and they got that big guy. I can't remember Jalen Carter and on the defense line. So it's like you don't want to run up the middle, and you don't want to spread things. But I think if you have. I think they're better than the offense for the Vikings. Their line is not together.
Exactly. The Jalen Carter thing, is a big deal too, right? Because Jalen Carter missed that game against the Giants, and the Giants put up 34, right? And it's like, the Giants did the Giants put up 34 against this Eagles defense, or is the Eagles defense this bad? And that's kind of the only thing that makes me hesitant, right?
Yeah.
How did the Giants do it? Right. They did it through Cam Scatabo. They did it through, Jackson Dart, what did he throw for almost 200 yards, had 58 on the ground himself. Wasn't like they did anything against the, and against these corners. I mean, Wandale had that one kind of broken play where he was able to kind of extend it after breaking that tackle.
That seemed like a fluke play, but maybe I'm off.
The Eagles, and this is the thing too, P. Lally mentions it, wide receiver 1s and running back 1, right? So, if you look at that, right, Cam Scatabo and stuff, they're the best team against the slot in the league. At least that was going into week 6. So that might have changed with Wandale breaking a long one, going off for 84 yards, but they were still the best team against the slot. So as far as Hawkinson goes, as far as the secondary receivers like Naylor and Thielen go, I'm not going to want them. Addison and Jefferson will be on the outside. Like you said, Addison, will probably get the better matchup, kind of avoid, Quinyon Mitchell's matchup.
Yeah.
All right. And again, I mean, just it's not a game that's sexy. It is indoors though, but it'd be Addison and Jefferson for me. And then I would sprinkle Mason in there.
I got him when I simmed I had a couple sims. He's definitely popped up on a few.
It's like I'm probably not touching Wentz at 5. Even though it's a revenge game, it's just not my cup of tea.
Nah.
Felix, we're going to talk about this game in general here because the Saints taking on the Bears. I mean, that Bears game was confusing to say the least. All credit to them, right? They ended up, getting that win. Fumble late on by Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt and Jaden Daniels put them in a great position to win that game, and they did it by running the ball with DeAndre Swift kind of to close out the stretch. Your guy, Luther Burden, had a pretty big role in there as well with 13 routes. He had 4 catches, and Olamide Zaccheaus' role was still very firm as well. Colson Loveland actually did get more routes than Cole Kmet for the first time since week 1, I believe. Injuries had a lot to do with it too. And then you flip it over to the Saints side. Rattler has been playing a little bit better than I think most expected him to this season, right? I think you kind of put him in that situation. Olave did have a 6 for 98 last week on 10 targets. And then we've kind of been in the same paradox every single time. You can't really trust the next guy up. Rashid Shaheed does have the most upside. Juwan Johnson flashed upside early on in this year and then late in the last season, obviously, too, but hasn't been able to kind of put together a good performance over the last few weeks. And then the running back room is also kind of divvying up a little bit. Talk to me about this game here, Felix.
We did call a little bit of a Taysom Hill having, a little spicy game. You did get the tutty. I've been kind of hit and miss. I've been just fading the Saints in general. Just it's like unpredictable. Rattler's not top tier. I don't really like. Obviously, Olave's been like one of the most leading targeted wide receivers, but I think that's a little not misleading, but it's like what are the value of those targets? And I try to stay away from those. Rashid Shaheed, though, is a scary person to be playing against against or playing against it. Like you don't want to not play him because he can easily just go. He can ruin the slate 3 minutes into the slate, and you're like, why didn't I play at least one or two Shaheed lineups? But yeah, and then on the other side, Rome, he's got to be the guy. Yeah, and then DJ Moore, I think I don't know who I heard it from or if it was where I heard it. It was like his nuts got tangled up or something like that.
Yeah. I saw that too. It was like testicular torsion or something like that.
I knew a guy I worked with that happened to him, and he had to take one of his balls taken off because it like killed it.
Oh God.
Yeah, so like that can't be fun. I mean, obviously he's probably fine since he's playing this week, but like I know that is not comfortable. And it's nice that Luther Burden finally got some shares into the, after the bye. That's what everybody always talks about, like more plays for the rookies after the bye weeks. And that seems to have worked here with Loveland and Burden, getting more opportunities. And I think it's going to keep growing until Luther takes over. I think Luther would be better anyways on the far. He's a good slot player, but I think he's an even better outside player.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me, like DJ Moore obviously had a good first half last game, then kind of didn't get going in that second half. Rome Odunze had some targets deep down the field too. Caleb Williams and him really couldn't connect for the most part, but still 6,600. He's clearly the top guy in terms of upside in that room. It just becomes like at that point too, like Zacchaeus' role was pretty hefty even last game. They ran a lot of 4 wide receiver sets. Yeah. Space it out for Caleb, right? They got Swift in some space. You had Kai Monangi, right? He had Kyle Monangi. Monangai. God, man, that's terrible pronunciation by me. Monangai. I even heard it the other day, and I tried to make note of it. But yeah, Monangai had a pretty decent role in there too. It's just like I think Swift, just being in this part of the game.
Oh yeah, he had a good game last week too.
He looked good, right? Yeah. And running kind of iced that game out, and that was the big thing too. Was when they were able to give him the ball there late on, he was able to get over the 100-yard mark too. Kind of gave him a little bit of confidence here. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I kind of want to kind of see him kind of do consistently, right? 5,700 is not a bad tag. He would be my bear that I would be like most heavily exposed to this week, and then Odunze and Caleb Williams. I think if you do Caleb Williams, you can obviously double stack him. Yeah. It's just the problem for me is like if Luther Burden's taking on a larger role at 4,300, which is still a pretty hefty tag for someone only getting less than half the routes.
Right. I wouldn't. It's still not ready. I don't think they're ready to play him at a full workload.
Yeah, and then it's like 5,200 for more, which I mean, this projection does feel low. I just think the 10-point projection, like maybe some more Odunze double stacks with Caleb Williams. I'm not in that tight end room at all. As far as the Saints go, Olave is still a great click at 5,400. Someone asked about the weather in Chicago. I know that Cleveland, obviously we know the Cleveland thing, but even here in like southeast or southwest Ohio, you're getting a lot of wind tomorrow too, which might dink the passing game a little bit. But the big thing that I always say when it comes to the weather,
I thought too.
I'm sorry, I would flash that, but I was speechless at that live chat comment there.
I don't want to think about that. You saw for a second, I'm like, I know exactly what you just saw.
There's very few times where I'm lost for words. That had me lost for words right there. Anyway, Olave, his role there, 5,400. The big thing to watch when you see these weather concerns and stuff is how much does the total drop over the next 12 hours before kickoff, right? Because that's when you can predict weather and stuff like that. You can say, oh, here's going to be a lot of wind, and all of a sudden the wind actually shows up, or maybe it stays drier, the total goes up. Just keep a tab on those totals there, and that's exactly what CPA Joe K says too. The projections are taking into account the weather already, and again, if the total goes up a couple points tomorrow, bump those guys up. If the total goes down, bump them down a little bit, right? That's the way I kind of approach the weather.
I'm with Jamie right here. The weather sucks. Taysom Hill. Yeah. I'm going to play. If I do a double, I'm going to bring it back to Taysom.
Oh yeah.
And I just like the way that Taysom. I hate that Taysom's listed as the tight end, but you got to play the game, and I think Taysom. The weather does suck. play Taysom Hill.
Yep, I can get behind that at 3K here. You're good, Broccoli Taco. It caught me so off guard, and that was the big thing. There, I was just caught so off guard by that I had to stop everything I was doing. What's the best way to set up a roster? Do I stash either CMC or JT's backups, or get Marcus Golden or Luther Burden? So this is obviously, if it's a keeper league like a dynasty, I would say that you would want Golden or Burden. I don't think it's a dynasty because those guys wouldn't be available in a dynasty. It depends on like all your rosters and stuff. I think getting the backups in season-long fantasy football where it's backups to workhorse situations, whether it's Brian Robinson or it's is it DJ Giddens in Indy?
In Indy, yes, it is DJ Giddens.
So whether it's Giddens or Robinson, I prefer that route than going a rookie wide receiver whose role especially in Golden's case, is probably peaking right now without Reed, without Watson in there. And
if it's a dynasty, if it's dynasty, get Luther Burden. In my head, I don't know.
The dynasty, definitely the rookie.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what we're doing here, but like if it's dynasty, get Luther Burden.
All right, and then this is a long one here. I'll say this: if I had to go, you need 2 apiece.
What the fuck?
Fighting Saul, I'll clean that up for me. I'll answer it later. It's just hard to kind of decipher on the live show. But if you clean that up, I'll definitely happily answer any fantasy football questions for you here. Yeah. We'll move on to probably the ugliest game of the week, though. It is the Miami Dolphins taking on the Cleveland Browns. Everyone's heard about the concerns with the weather. Really heavy winds for the most part. Winds are more impactful than just like rain or anything like that. If you're seeing gusts up to 60 miles per hour or whatever, that's usually a terrible sign for the passing game. Well, you know what else is a terrible sign for the passing game, Felix? Dylan Gabriel and Tua Tagovailoa as your quarterbacks. I mean, that's pretty bleak too.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned, like, obviously we know CPA Joe K. You mentioned weather already baking in, projections already baking in weather. This is a prime case of that, right? You're not seeing Tua projected for 12 or Dylan Gabriel projected for 12 in a normal game environment. The total is extremely low as well, 36.5 the last I looked. Really, it is the defenses for me here, Felix, and it is Judkins and, I say hot chain a little bit, but even at 8,100, it's a little bit of a hefty tag. Your impact with high winds is a lot of throws down the field, so you might have a lot of short passes into the flat, getting a chain out in space. But Judkins actually would be my favorite play here, and pairing him with the Browns D will probably be a popular path. Because of the low total in this one and the double-digit ownership in the Browns defense. Am I breaking the contrarian spout there, Felix? No, but I do like Judkins and the Browns, and that's about it for me in this game. And that's just because even though I loved Waddle last week, he hit his props. He was an absolute hero in that first half. This is not the week for him. What do you think?
I'm on the same boat. I don't even want to touch Judkins with how high he's going to be, and I'm like, are they going to? I don't know. I don't care for, like we talk about here, like 20+% ownership, but I understand it. Like I get it, but I there's other plays that I like, and it's like I don't want to be following the chalk with everybody else here if I'm playing the Millie Maker. So I'm probably not going to go with Quinshon Judkins. I'll probably play some Browns D, but and some Harold Fannis, some short passes, some short work that he plays out of the slot. And then I want to play Waddle, but I'm passing on A-Chain. He's probably a good play for A-Chain, but I'm probably going to pass on that and stick with Waddle. And then I'm not touching Waller. Good luck beating me again. I'm sure I'll take another touchdown to the face, but Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on an absolute roll. But, Felix, if I had to play like the devil's advocate to you here, all right, I'm going to do it just because. Here's who the Dolphins defense has gone against in terms of the running backs they've gone against, because this defense might actually be the worst against the run in the league.
Oh, it's terrible.
It might include the Cowboys too, right? So 18 for 124 to Kamani Vidal, right? So that was the big thing that we saw. Then what Rico Dowdle did that the very previous week, he went 23 for 206. You look at the week before that, it was the Jets game, I believe, and the Jets ran wild on him. Like, I don't know if people really assess it. They were moving the ball. They just fumbled it in opportune times. And Breece Hall went 14 for 81. You had Braylon Allen 4 for 26. I mean, if you wanted to combine those two, that's kind of cherry picking it, but it's 18 for 107. And then one last, fetch would be the Bills game, which again, you're going against the Bills, but James Cook went 19 for 108. they just give up 100-yard rushers out the wazoo, man. And it's the chalk. We can get different in other spots. And
yeah, chalk, it does. It does. It works. Chalk works. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to put your in when every chalk piece has been working lately.
Yes, it does feel like the chalk pieces because I think the Cowboys have been so bad defensively that jamming every guy against the Cowboys tomorrow is a good thing. But just chalk has been hitting. You saw it was like O'Marion Hampton the other week. And then obviously, who was the running back that we were low on that ended up going off a few weeks ago too? But
I know. I've been fading Rico the first couple of weeks, so not great. So I can't.
And P. Lally knows what's up.
Yeah. Judkins is a stud. He is a stud.
Ohio State stud. Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brian mentions, Judkins killed you last week. I know he's in a good spot, still upset about it. I mean, the way to attack that Steelers defense was through the air. So, I'm not going to sit here and fault Stefanski for that game plan, right? Because, you saw what the Bengals did with Joe Flacco. And I'll say this, Chase Brown had more success on the ground than he had all season long against that Steelers team. So maybe they should have ran it more. But it's when they dropped back 52 times, I mean, your concern there was, Judkins getting absolutely zero involvement in that pass game. I don't think that's going to be an issue this week. He should touch the ball 20 times on, just in carries alone. Then again, Felix, and in your case here, if a guy's not going to catch a ball out of that backfield at 6K, that there's a point being made in your favor.
He doesn't even catch the ball that much. He has the ability to, but they have patched, other players like Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford, and I think there's somebody else that I'm forgetting. They may just use him on the ground, and then when there's passing downs, they might bring somebody else in. I don't remember how many routes he ran last week, but I don't think it was too many.
We had the Waller Award props. You're getting thrown in here at 25-1. Oh man, he's got to stay healthy a little bit longer for me to buy that. But you never know. 2 tight end lineups for the win with a mix of Meyer, Fannin, and Mason Taylor. I can get on board with Fannin. You guys are mentioning it here. With Fannin, I think my only concern with that is just the passing game, the volume being so low. And Fannin's been higher owned than Njoku in some games.
Njoku's out, right?
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to figure out here is what the price tag, going into this one was $3,900. Okay. And he's been a very popular click. They were the showdown in what was it? The London game against the Vikings, right? Was that the London game as well?
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where Fannin came in high owned and Njoku wasn't. And it feels like Fannin's a little bit of a cult hero in the fantasy football world.
He talked to what's his name? The guy with the backup quarterback, whatever his name is. He ended up talking to his mom about his duck feet, and he became very popular about talking to his mom.
I love that, and Bowling Green product too. It's can I trust him without Njoku in that mix? Is the one thing I keep coming back to, and will the volume be there? I guess it's a very fine play at 3.9, right? I'm not gonna hate on anyone who clicks his name because I love his talent. That's the big thing. It's just. His talent's going to be top tier. It's just a matter of getting fed, and Gabriel will trust him over the middle and, on these short throws. Like you said,
is there a possibility that he sucks? He throws 2 picks to this defense and they bring in Shador and they make a better change there?
Shador won't come in mid-game, I don't think, unless Gabriel's hurt. That would be a midweek thing if that did happen.
I'm ready to see some Shador. I'm ready to see it.
A big deal of that. If they were serious about winning, they would have kept Flacco.
That is true. They're just a clown organization.
Rubio, Henderson, or Stevenson, man. I got to go with Ramondre Stevenson. We're going to talk about the game here in just a second, too. And the reason is I think Vrabel trusts Ramondre at the goal line way more than Henderson. And even after the fumbles, who got the 2 goal line carries? It was Ramondre Stevenson. And that's the one thing that I'm coming back to in this game at 5,200 and a great spot against Tennessee Titans, a game where you had Michael Carter score, and you had Amari Dimercado throw the ball in the back of the end zone, but he almost has an 80-yarder and stuff too. It's this Titans team. I'm kind of glad they got rid of Callahan and stuff too. It's maybe you can kind of see a little bit of life thrown into them. But Vrabel is going to be coming in with a little bit of a personal vendetta against them here too. I mean, he's going to be a little bit wanting to rub some dirt into that wound a little bit, rubbing some dirt into the Tennessee Titans wound, and. P. Lau, you mentioned it. Pat's going to run up the score a little bit. It would be like Ramondre Stevens. What are you feeling about this game here, Felix?
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I think it's just going to be a mollywopping. Like you could onslaught the same. I think it could easily be a Drake May, Diggs, Stevenson, and Hunter Henry with no bring back. You could just say they just put a whooping on them. It's 59-0. Like I can see it happen. They could be beating them down pretty good this week. And you might even get a score out of Trevion Henderson just to show that they got every way to beat them. Who knows? Like it could be really bad for the Titans here with the new coaching staff. Clearly no ability to have anything go right for them this year. And everything's apparently on the table to trade them out. I think they said on the table they're going to trade everybody but Cam Ward and the defensive tackle.
I mean, it's interesting too because like I look at everything around this Titans team, and you have Calvin Ridley out with a hamstring injury, right? So you're going to have a little bit younger of a wide receiver core this week, without a doubt. Ayo Manor will be leading the line. You'll also have has Lockett even playing, right? So it's just
DK. It's been DK or Dyke or whatever his name is.
DK,
he's been the one that's kind of holding up. Yeah, I think Van Jefferson leading the team in receiving last week.
I'll say this: if anyone playing fantasy, you flip Tyjae Spears and Pollard's projections. Tyjae Spears is 100% the leader in that backfield. Yeah. Last week showed it. I think, in my honest opinion, I'm kind of shocked that these projections are the way that they are. I think they should absolutely be flipped. If that's the case, I'm going to look at the sports books here when Felix talks, and I'm going to be looking at Tyjae Spears props individually, especially in the passing game. He was much more involved in the passing game. I did bet a Tony Pollard reception prop live, and he ended up getting it in that last 2-minute drive, nice. 2-minute drill. So you know what? It's called getting lucky, Felix. I got very lucky on that because I just assumed that they were splitting drives and Tyjae Spears was in there, getting his drive and stuff. But no, it's Tyjae Spears getting about 67% of that work, which you can scoff at, but a 4,900, it's something more for betting. I don't think I would go with single Tennessee Titan, to be honest, in that millie.
They're just not going to be. It's not going to be enough to bring it back to hit the millie. You have to be perfect to hit the millie, and I don't think there's a single piece that you're going to want on there. It's not going to be a fun game for the Titans, regardless. And I don't think you see a millie anybody in the millie winner with a Titan next to their name.
Yeah, and again, that's like the one thing I keep coming back to, and I think Ramondre will get the larger share of the carries. I think Hendo and him. If you want to make the case that Hendo could be more of a split, I do think these projections are good here between Hendo and Ramondre, while Spears and Pollard were far off. I'm going to say this too. It's like, how much buzz did May get? Right, he obviously was optimal last week, wasn't he?
Yes,
he was very, very close. Yeah. And it was him and Boutte. You had to fade Hunter Henry and Stephon Diggs to kind of get there, which you mentioned it on the show last week. Yeah, you nailed it, man. That was a great call on Kayshon Boutte. I bet his prop. He actually was in my biggest parlay of the week, Felix. I had the Boutte prop at I think it was like 27.5 or something like that. It was something super low. He hit it in the first quarter, and then
he was 1% owned. See, you hit all the chalk, and you just get the 1% owned guy, and then you nail it.
My only sweat was the Jonathan Taylor 90+ yards in that parlay, and he ended up getting that in the fourth quarter there against the Cardinals too. So it ended up being a good parlay week, and we'll do a parlay at the end of the show.
I got 2,000 placed last week, and if I would have just played, a more chalkier lineup, I would have just nailed it. I had a double stack with Keenan Allen. If I would have just changed some things around and would have put in Rico, I would have seen me win in another 7 figures.
Yep, Chris, I will legit want to X out all the Titans. You will not be alone in that.
Yeah.
Uzi, you mentioned Ramondre or Addison in the flex. That's a good one. That's a really good one. I'm going to go Ramondre. And the reason is I think the Patriots could put up 4 touchdowns here, and he's the goal line guy.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's like the thing too with Addison, it's like I think the role is going to be very secure. They have been, Eagles have been pretty weak against the wide receiver position. That is not the slot. Wide receivers who line up out wide have been thriving against them. I don't hate either play, but Ramondre will get the work. I think he scores a touchdown tomorrow at the bare minimum.
I agree, and it's also you got to also think about who you're putting your money on. You're putting your money on not just Addison. You're putting it on Carson Wentz to get it to Addison. So.
Fact.
So Ramondre, he's going to get the work because Vrabel just trusts him, obviously, at this point. So that he's going to get at least probably 1 touchdown, if not 2, if they run up the score. Mm-hmm. I would also put it on Ramondre.
What's up, Jacob? Man, how you doing, man? And CPA Joe K mentions, who's the Boutte of this week? We might get one later on from our guy Felix, that is for sure. He always comes in with a couple contrarian options here, without a doubt. Raiders taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. So the big thing with this one here, Jacoby Myers is questionable. You still have Brock Bowers out. Further depleting the, I don't even want to say like in a positive way, but Geno Smith's supporting cast is getting a little bit derailed. And, he himself is getting worse and worse as the weeks go on. I will say this, Felix. We loved our guy, K. Dotton, last week. He ended up doing really well. Had his props, too. He sailed over him. He had 59 yards, I believe. Yeah. Michael Mayer had a great game last week, and he is only 3,500 here. Trey Tucker at 10.62 point projection here. Jacoby Myers' status is something to kind of really keep tabs on. That is a true questionable for me. I don't know what route's going to happen there. If he is in, I think you treat it like last week. Michael Mayer would be my top guy. I think Tucker would actually get the nod over Myers for me because Myers has been bad for multiple weeks now, almost a month of being just straight garbage for fantasy, not to put it kindly. And then I think it would be Meyer, Genty, and then leave it alone. That would be my thing. You can play the Raiders D as a pure punt. Yeah. You need to do that. But if Myers is out, who's the guy who steps up, Felix?
Mayer did look really good last week, but I think Geno just wants to kind of let it rip now. I think he's kind of feeling the heat a little bit, and I think it's Trey Tucker currently. I would love to see Thornton get involved, but obviously he's not. They're just not putting him in yet. And I think it'd be Trey Tucker, who I'm probably going to be going to as a bringback in this game, because I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to be playing that chalky Rashee Rice on the other side of this game.
Oh, so we're going to have a disagreement here. We are going to have a very good disagreement.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Tell me what's the selling point on Rashee Rice here, all right? And I'll let you go first, and I'll get a rebuttal, and then I'll give you one last rebuttal as well. Talk to me about this Chiefs team where you're eating 25% chalk wide receiver here in this first game of the year.
So we all hate the Chiefs for the most part on this panel. But Rashee Rice is just like his go-to guy. I mean, I just remember before him getting knocked out by Mahomes, that he was his clear target, dominant wide receiver. Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy was just the, I'm gonna throw to you deep. Hopefully you Tyreek Hill this. If you don't, you don't score. I don't know. Maybe Rashee Rice, I think, is the alpha of that room, and they're gonna force feed him, and they're gonna target and put a lot on his plate to see what he can handle. Coming off because he's not. I mean, it doesn't look like he was injured. It looks like he's just waiting because of the suspension, not anything else. So he's ready for the the Quinshon Judkins when he comes back kind of workload. So I think he has a big workload ahead of him, and they're going to try to put him in the end zone to shove it up these Raiders behinds.
So I see what you're saying, right? Like, obviously to begin last season, he was the number one guy without a doubt, right?
Yeah.
Since then, Xavier Worthy has kind of blossomed, and especially in that playoff run, right? That's the one thing. We haven't seen him thrive this year yet, but in that playoff run, it was a lot of Kelsey and Worthy. Yeah. My problem with this Kansas City offense right now is you have a ton of mouths to feed, and a guy coming back in his first game who's not been there the first 6. Is he going to immediately come in and get a full role, right? It's not like an injury related. So you're assuming yes. I'm assuming that there might still be a scaling up period for him because he wasn't with the team at all, right? He wasn't allowed to be with the team.
Was he not? Okay. I thought he was for some reason, but okay, yeah.
Let me look that up.
You might be right. I don't remember.
I know that it used to be suspension. Could he be with the team? So let's look that
up. I just thought I saw him celebrating it, but maybe I'm mistaken that.
So he's returned to the team is what that sounds like, right? And he looks sharp ahead of in practice ahead of season debut. So in his first public comments since rejoining his teammates. So it wasn't like he was
so he was okay.
Yeah, it's like my theory here is that you're getting people who are very excited to throw in a 5.6K Rashee Rice when there's a decent chance that he won't be the wide receiver one. It sounds like from this article on the ESPN, it sounds like he just rejoined the team for practice for the first time this past week. And I'm gonna kind of triple check that here real quick.
As I have no idea about that stuff.
Suspension with team. So let's go ahead and just like double check on that. I'm like,
Google help us, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, welcomed him back and stuff like that. Like returning to practice with the Chiefs.
Word context here says he wasn't there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't think he was practicing. But yeah, I will go ahead and move on from that. But it's like I just think that you have 5 wide receivers who are legitimate threats, and that's if you want to throw out Juju, I'll let you throw out Juju. But Juju has been running a ton of routes. Can you really decrease Tyquan Thornton's role when he's been amazing as is? Is he still going to get those downfield threats? And does that take away where they're all of a sudden like, well, Worthy needs some of these underneath throws? Does that dry up some of what made Rashee Rice so great for such a short period of time? And I'm just going to be completely selling on that. And that's why these Mahomes doubles are not appealing to me, is because I'm not on Rice, right? Like if look, I'm going to be kind of selling on this Kansas City team as a whole, because look at how many dudes they have, right? And even Noah Gray, look how many dudes are going to catch a pass from them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys.
This could easily be, though, a complete domination of the Raiders, who have shown no ability to stop anything. I agree with you when we say Miami's the worst defense in the league right now, but I don't think far behind them. Getting 40-0 by the Commanders a few weeks back? Like, I don't think we're that far from. I don't think the Chiefs can't. They can easily put up 40-0 here, and it'd just be all Rashee Rice or I'm not touching anything on the running game, but yeah, I think it's Rice, and I'm gonna probably pair him up with Pat.
So this is why you can kind of see Kay Fallick, a guy who's in the Run Pure Sports. Known him for nearly a decade now. He will, like, if he's in the NFL chat tomorrow, because sometimes, he's a very busy man and stuff, he will hate on the Chiefs because he'll simply say, there are 9 dudes who are going to catch a pass, and he will target very thin, like, passing funnels, right? Like the Bucs last week, right?
Yeah, obviously.
He would have been like Onigbuka and Otten and maybe Tez Johnson, right? Like where you just have like 3 guys who can catch a pass for them. Obviously, you had the other Johnson catch a touchdown too, which was hilarious that both Johnsons ended up catching a touchdown deep. But like this is just way too wide of a funnel, and that's my concern. It's just way too wide of a funnel. If you do play Mahomes, what are the chances that double stack is correct too? And that's going to be a very high owned Mahomes. I'm out in the Chiefs entirely, and that what I might have a little bit of I know what I'm out on them entirely. Out on them entirely, Felix. That's my big.
That's wild. Yeah, that's crazy. That's. I think there's going to be at least one Chiefs player on the Millie Maker. That'll be a heavy stance that I take there. It'll be at least one of them will be on there.
It's good to have a disagreement on the show. I like it. Yeah. I like it. Is it good? Is this a good Mahomes naked slate? Could you run Mahomes naked here, Felix, or is he going to be so high owned where the combo?
That's why I was getting at. There will be at least one, because I was going to say one of the receivers, because it could easily be Mahomes putting up 30 points, and with what you're talking about, where they do spread it around, it could easily be a naked Mahomes where he runs into or short pass to Brashard Smith or something along those lines. He can score in so many ways. I just think they're going to want to put out in the world that, hey, we're back. We got our best wide receiver. I think I'm a narrative kind of guy, and I like to make my little stories work in my head. So I guess that's the way I'm pushing it.
Fair enough. And I have mentioned that we should be putting Mahomes in the same category as Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar, and I'm sure there's other quarterbacks I'm forgetting, but he is top 5 in the league in terms of top 6 in the league. Justin Fields is also in that mix, but it's like top 6 in the league in rushing yards and for a quarterback. That's not something to take lightly, and someone who has been very willing to run it in recent games. Let's go ahead and move on to the Carolina Panthers and the New York Jets. Garrett Wilson, doubtful for this one here. Uzi knows what's up. Self-confession here. I scored the lowest amount of points. I've been in one fantasy league each year for the last, 15 years of my life.
Okay.
I scored the fewest amount of points. We even switched to a super flex 3 years ago, Felix, and I still scored less than I ever have last week. And do you want to know why? I'm 4-2, so people, I'm not that bad. I had Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, and Mason Taylor start off my Sunday last week.
Oh, no.
Perspective. Brock Bowers is hurt.
Yeah.
Tua is my third quarterback and stuff, and Fields has been really good for fantasy and stuff. And then I also had I had Buka also get hurt. I had CeeDee Lamb who's hurt and stuff like that. I have a lot of injuries. That's why I played 3 Jets. Well, Garrett Wilson's usually pretty good. Needless to say, I also went against the highest scoring guy in the last 2 seasons, who put up like 207 on my head, and we have it was a very funny time, having one of the lowest scores ever posted in that league, and then going against one of the top scores in the last year. Made for good stuff, and it's all because of Justin Fields and the Jets. There is a guy in this game, though, who has been tearing it up. That is Rico Dowdle. Chuba Hubbard returns this week, and I know a lot of people are wondering, is it going to be Rico? Is it going to be Chuba? Well, you had the Panthers coaching staff say, oh, we know who's going to get the touches, but we're not going to tell you. We know who's going to get the majority of them. Felix, my theory is you give the guy the ball who got you 400 yards in the last 2 weeks, and you don't overthink it for fantasy purposes, even at 6.8K. This Jets defense has not been the Jets defense of old. Felix, talk to me.
Dude, I'm on the same boat too. Like, how dumb of a coaching staff would you be to take away the ball from the guy that has now rushed for 200 yards rushing? I mean, I'm going to be smarter than them because I'm going to play him this week. And, of course, this will be the week that they don't play him. But how do you take him off the field after he's running so hot? It'd be a really questionable move on their coaching staff to do something like that. So I expect him to have a majority. It'll be at least a 60 to a 75 workload to Chuba Hubbard. Let Chuba Hubbard keep recovering and ease him back in. No reason to give him a full workload. And honestly, there's some props on pick six that I'm kind of interested in for our boy Rico Dowdle. And it doesn't really make sense that he would even split work right now with just ride the hot hand. It doesn't make any sense why they would go back. So I'm going to be playing Rico this week. A little heftier price tag, but I think, like we talked about, this Jets defense is not, what it was 2 years ago. And and he's definitely the dominant play on their team right now. T-Mac, we finally got his touchdowns, but yeah.
Yes. That was the funny thing is I think, I actually had one of my best weeks last week for my main team more specifically, and it was because of the, Panthers stack. I actually played Bryce Young in my main team last week too. And again, can you look good against the Dolphins and Cowboys? Yes, you absolutely can. Why not lump the Jets in there? And Rico Dowdle is going to be really low owned, and he's the hottest running back in the league right now. I don't want to overthink that. If people are going to be off because Chuba Hubbard is back, sure. Okay, I get it. The last thing I want to do is hop off a guy who has been absolutely carrying the fantasy world. If you played him the last 2 weeks, you've been profiting. I mean, I know last week he was way more chalky, or the last 2 weeks has been really chalky, but if you faded him, you definitely weren't making money. Let's put it that way. 6.8K is going to scare a lot of people off in a nutted spot. I'm going to keep riding the wave until that wave crashes against the rocks. That's the way to approach it. And Felix, Tet volume is scary to me, and that's why it's just Rico for me on the Carolina side. The Tet volume is just frustrating because it's just Bryce Young's involving quite a few people, but it's also like they just don't throw it a ton. And why would you when you're running for 200 on the ground?
Right. Yeah. I think we did bet a couple touchdown props on T-Mac, and I think we put the yardage on our pick six last week because it only makes sense that he was going to get the work. He's just, I don't know, man. It's not enough work yet. They need to have I don't know what they need to do to change to get him more work, but it's even going to be even less work now that they brought Jalen Coker is finally active. It's getting kind of muddy there. I love T-Mac, and I'm hoping that he puts up 100 every week, but I'm personally not going to be playing him anytime soon until they kind of figure out what they're doing with the passing game.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, do you really want to gamble on anyone else outside of Tet? And then Tet's price is just like, very high for the passing game, right? And let's flip it over to the Jets. Breece Hall, on the trading block, it feels. This could be one of his last games as a Jet. Probably is his last game as a Jet.
Bring him to the Chargers, baby.
That's very much a very likely landing spot for Breece Hall here.
Yeah.
I think that was the worst game of NFL football I can remember watching in a long time. And, again, I'm only 27, so a lot of people have probably watched worse football games than me. I get that. I was frustrated. And a big reason for that, too, is, I bet Brees Hall reception props. The Broncos were like dead last in the league against, running backs catching the football in terms of yardage given up. And like they didn't even like attempt to move the ball through the air at all. And it was frustrating too because Fields also looked like a deer in the headlights. I mean, the Panthers defense is not that good, Felix. Fields has been good. Am I crazy to talk myself into going to him at under 1% ownership, despite the entire world seeing how bad he was last week?
Dude, it's crazy because 2 weeks ago, had you thought about playing Fields, you would have been with chalk. It would have been like 30 some odd percent. He has such a shit game, which is who he is. He is the yo-yo of quarterbacks. You want to be on the highs of highs and fade him when he's chalk. Fade him when he's chalk and take him when he's low. And this is one of those opportunities you can get where he could rush for 120 and it wouldn't surprise anybody. And this defense, they're not at home. They're better when they play at home. I don't know what their home road splits, but they're clearly a better team when they're at home and versus when they're on the road. And Justin Fields, he is terrible sometimes when he's just being inconsistent. He has Trevor Lawrence type terribleness, but he has so many good spots where I'm gonna probably play a ton of Mason Taylor. He's probably my most owned tight end this week, which is exciting because no Garrett Wilson. Who are they passing into? It's going to be a lot of checkdowns to Brees, which is why he's getting a lot of ownership, in my opinion. And I think it's going to be a lot of short passes because there's nobody to guard Mason Taylor on the Panthers defense, in my opinion. And if I was to double stack, which you probably don't normally double stack, this could be like one of those contrarian plays that nobody's like really doing, which we don't talk a lot, like too many crazy contrarian plays, but I think this is one where you could actually do it. It's a Mason Taylor and a Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds doesn't get enough notoriety, but he's like a halfway decent wide receiver, and I think he can get a couple touchdowns here.
He led the team in yards last week, right? I think that was the one thing that happened there. And look, I can get behind the Mason Taylor play. I can get behind the Josh Reynolds play. I don't know about double stacking because, like, when I'm playing Fields, I'm hoping all that damage comes on the ground for the most part. Yeah. Would it be like, you could almost do like a Fields Dowdle, like just mini.
Yeah, that you do that, yeah.
Right? Or, but I don't hate the Brees Hall thing either. Like, Brees Hall and Dowdle in the same game, too. Like, people like to pair running backs and wide receivers with their mini stacks and stuff, too. But you have a case where, these are mostly two subpar defense for the most part. I will say this. I'm going to go ahead and just talk about Javonte Williams was shut down last week, man. And that's like the only thing giving me a little bit of hesitancy on Brees Hall. But you're exactly right. I was kind of expecting them to check the ball down a lot against the Broncos. That didn't really happen. But at the same time, we have seen Justin Fields check down a decent amount of times already this season to Isaiah Davis and Brees Hall. I don't expect that. I kind of expect them to get the train back on the rails. I expect the Jets to put up points. And 1 week after everyone saw him look absolutely awful, Justin Fields will run one in and maybe have 80 yards on the ground, show New York what's up as they go to an 0-7 record after they lose 27-24 against the Panthers. All right, let's move on from this game. That's a lot of talk about the Jets.
Jets always disappoint, but when you're it's different when they disappoint when they're supposed to be good. They're supposed to be shit here. That's why it's like, you want to play when they're going to play shit potentially.
Purely ownership. They're completely unowned.
Yeah.
It's weird how this slate works, right? First 6 games of the slate are all 1 p.m. Most of them are they're very underwhelming. Outside the Chiefs, who you're very high on, maybe the Patriots, you can have a little bit of buzz, and the Bears. There isn't a whole lot of excitement. And then you get to these afternoon games. You got huge team totals for the Colts, Chargers, throwing the Broncos in there, Commanders, Cowboys, Packers, right? You got a lot of great teams in the latter half of the slate. Yeah. Let's talk about your team here, the Chargers. Joe Alt is he questionable still, or is he doubtful?
I didn't think he was playing, but maybe he is. I just didn't see that.
He probably is out. I think I saw that. I thought I saw him at practice, not practicing, but he was like at practice and stuff. So I didn't know if there was any hope that he'd play. But that's been the problem for this Chargers team. And you can even make the case that they didn't look that great last week against the Dolphins, right? I mean, they ran the ball pretty well, but still, you kind of struggle a little bit against Miami, far from their peak. And I think when they get Alt back, that would be a big thing for that offense in general.
I think he's playing this week. Actually, it says he was limited on Thursday.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a practice footage. His ankle looks fine.
If he's in, like, I'll definitely be willing to buy in more on the Chargers too. And it's going to be a decent game. We've already talked many times on this show about how the Chargers have been dropping back at an incredibly high rate. And it was Ladd McConkey who finally got the bonus last week with the 100 yards in his last catch of the football game. That was the good stuff there. And then Kamani Vidal over 100 yards on the ground. Talk to me, Felix, about this game.
As much as I love my Chargers, this Colts defense is kind of for real a little bit, and I'm going to play my McConkey. I think they're finally realizing, hey, McConkey is way more explosive than Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston. Let's give McConkey some more work. So I think they're finally making a little bit of a switch there, getting him more involved. I think Keenan and Quentin will still be involved, but I think I'm on the Ladd is back as well train. I do think that our defense has been kind of giving up on the ground though, and I do think it's another JT huge game. And even maybe Daniel Jones on the ground. We can't seem to stop those like 15-yard rushes over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, the meat of that defense getting a little bit torn up on the interior, and Jonathan Taylor has been, outside of week 1, right? That was the only time he's like really just been underwhelming for us. And then last week he still ended up getting there, and he even they got down to the 1 a couple times, and he wasn't really fed. It was like, the situation. He didn't even peak last week too.
Right.
Tyler Warren. I mean, my God, the price keeps on rising. And it still feels like, every single week he's going to be a great play. And this week he's, projecting for extremely high ownership at 35%. But it makes sense because he keeps on crushing. What are you doing with the rookie tight end here?
I mean, how do you can't completely fade Tyler Warren with how much they've run the offense through him. I do say that they usually put Derwin James on the more elite type tight ends. And if he sees Derwin James, I could say it's not going to be his best game, which is not something I usually try to target against. I don't try to typically target against our tight ends against the Chargers, just because like they usually, if it's a good tight end, they will put Derwin on him. And it doesn't shut them down entirely, but it doesn't let them have their top tier type games.
I like that take, right? Because he is going to be incredibly popular, and getting a reason to get off him and spend more down at tight end could be the move too.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to have, although it's doubtful, Mack is back this week too. That will help that defense a decent bit, especially that pass rush. Which, I'm kind of excited to see Alt back into the mix too, because I think that was one of the things that was kind of holding back this Chargers offense from the first couple of weeks, right? And
we dominated.
Yeah, you wish that Slater and Alt were healthy, man. That's the one thing. If I could go back in time, we would reset the season and turn injuries off. Right? That's every single year. But especially for the Chargers team with Slater and all. And I'm saying that as a Bengals fan who loves Burrow. But if I was talking about another team and stuff, the tackle position being so important, and Chargers haven't had their two main guys for more than half the weeks this year.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, you're exactly right. 8,800. I mean, that is a tall task, a tall asking price, but I do agree that it's just like, at that point, if you get 28, it doesn't matter, right? You can make it fit. You can get around it, right?
I think if you don't have to plug him in to start with your lineup in, but if you found yourself saving a little bit of space and you found yourself with an extra $8,800, I think he's the best play you can put in there if you built a cheap lineup.
100%. Yeah. Michael Scott in the chat. Yeah, the nickel corner for the Colts is still confident. It's the outside that's going to get burned, i.e. Quentin Johnston. You know what? I can get behind some Quentin Johnston love. Obviously missing out last week. I think funneled a lot of people toward Ladd. I was one of those people in my main team, Felix. It just became what Ladd was too cheap and stuff. And then if you were to go like overall, I'm going to pull up the team defense too. I'm actually going to pull this up too. We can get off Saberson for just a second. And I'm going to bring up the team stats, and we can look where the Colts rank in terms of yardage given up to outside wide receivers. That'll be a good thing to do real quick as well, since we only have 10 games.
But no Jenkins. I would go with Quentin Johnston over Allen.
Obviously, I hit the exact same Saberson that I was just using. Let's go ahead and look at this. Let's look at 2025, and let's see about outside wide receivers here. So wide receivers, well, it would help if...
What is this site called? And we've used it a few times. NFL Pro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see where the Colts are in this range here. So the Jaguars have been giving up the most yardage to outside wide receivers. The Raiders are actually giving up the third most, which There's more reason for your Chiefs left. Yeah, Colts in the middle of the pack there, and then let's go to slot here too. This is one thing. They actually changed their layout just a little bit too. Let's see in the slot. They are giving up a decent amount in the slot at 75.8. That could be a one game, thing too, or a guy maybe had 100 yards or had a big play too. A lot of things, a lot of outside factors could be in that mix. Volume is relatively, 67 is kind of in the middle of the pack too. So yeah, interesting stuff. I do love to use this site to kind of find where teams are weak at, especially in the passing game. And then obviously you can see yardage given up, time to pressure, right? I think that's a big thing too. I don't care too much about just slot target, right? But you can see about our teams getting to the quarterback at a high clip, and the Denver Broncos are getting to the quarterback at a high clip, and they did that last week against the Jets. Let me pull up SaberSim again, and we'll move on from this game. Anything else you want to talk about in this game here, Felix?
No. I know we haven't talked defenses, but if all is not playing, I would play the Colts defense on some teams.
Yep, I kind of agree. And, people might think like, oh, man, is an offensive tackle that important for the team? I think is one of the best.
It's not only that. It's like we don't really have a dominant running game. And so you get a lot of points for sacks. And though Herbert is a little bit harder to sack sometimes, it is still a lot of passing volume coming out of us. And so we're racking up sacks and potentially getting more points that way.
So yeah, give me the one real quick on Vidal. Like it's like you buying in on Vidal over Haskins for the most part.
Yeah, I got that one wrong last week. I'm definitely switching my tune. I'm back on the Vidal train, and I will be playing. I will play some. I don't know if he'll be mid ownership on my builds.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's good here. We'll move on from that game to go to the Giants taking on the Denver Broncos here. So the Giants, you have, obviously coming off a big win against the Eagles, and the Broncos taking over the Jets last week too. I'm going to be honest. I'm starting to buy in on this Denver Broncos defense. So Scatterbo, Dart, Wandale, I'm kind of out on all the Giants. That's kind of an easy part. They have one of the lowest totals on the entire slate. As far as the Broncos go, it's the same thing for me as why I didn't really love the Chiefs. They have a lot of mouths to feed on the offensive end. However, I can buy in on some J.K. Dobbins. I can buy in on some Cortland Sutton a little bit. I can even buy in on Bo Nix. I wouldn't double stack just because I'm afraid of getting him, that second wide receiver wrong, that second tight end wrong. But I do like his rushing upside from a game-to-game basis to kind of get there as optimal. What do you think?
I'm actually so somebody asked me what my booty play is of the week. My booty play of the week is going to be Cortland Sutton at 3% ownership. I think he torches this defense deep. It's like something. They're also remembering Demaryius Thomas. So Narrative Street, it was his role model when he got there. I'm going to be all over Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix this week. I did hand build a couple teams, and I did double stack it with Marvin Mims. It's probably not optimal, but I did like that build that ended up coming up with it.
I can get
and I'm out on the Giants passing game, and might play one or two Scatterbos.
The 3,500 Mims for a big play, like an 80-yard touchdown, is what you'd be banking on there. He was very much shown he's capable of that.
Yeah.
You have Darius Slayton still questionable or out.
Yeah, he's out. He's out.
He's straight up out. And we saw last week it was a little Jordan Humphrey who did.
He got activated. Yeah.
You're digging at the bottom of the barrel. If you do want some really deep cut revenge, that's a revenge spot right there. Little Jordan Humphrey was an Bronco. I think all last year. I want to say almost most last year.
He was.
Yeah. So there's your deep cut revenge narrative play of the day. Little Jordan Humphrey. I had him for
Evan Ingram too. Evan Ingram revenge game.
That's true. There you go. There's another one here.
Yeah.
I had Little Jordan Humphrey first touchdown. I think it was like 75-1 or something last.
Holy cow! Yeah,
I'm trying to think. It could have been 45. Tanner Hudson might have been the 75-1, but then Hudson scores last week too. Not against the Steelers, but the week before that against the Packers. So we've been getting close to some of these long shots. So I do want to hit one of these. Little Jordan Humphrey's odds immediately went way down after they saw him catch a pass in the first drive. We get YouTube hit mentions. What website is that? NFL Pro is the one I was using, and then this is SaberSim as well. The NFL Pro is probably the one that you were asking about. Denver D. P. Lally mentions. Yeah, I'm a believer in this Denver defense right now. 3,500 might seem like a tall tag, but they're going to be incredibly high owned. I don't think it would quite get up to 40. I think it'll kind of plateau at around 25. But I will definitely be eating some of that chalk just because it's a rookie quarterback on the road against a really good defense. That doesn't mix. That doesn't mix. It's like, you want your liquor before the beer, not the opposite way around. I'd rather have a veteran quarterback in Denver than a rookie.
Yeah.
Washington, Dallas, game of the day. DeAndre Swift ran really well against Washington. This defense is not terrible. It's not great. It's below average for the most part right now. I'm not going to sit here and say it's great. CeeDee Lamb, 7,500. First game back from injury. Will be pretty chalky. I'm indifferent on him. It's like I think the Cowboys are priced pretty well. I like Dak at 6,500. He's going to be one of my favorite quarterbacks to play as every single week. CeeDee Lamb, he was my number 2 wide. Yeah, he was my number 2 wide receiver behind Jamar Chase coming into the year. I was very sad to see him hurt, but I'm glad he is back. And then on the Washington side of the ball, like you got Deebo Samuel out, Terry McLaurin out. And that's going to bring in guys like Chris Moore at 3K who are going to be really, really chalky. Luke McCaffrey caught a long 33-yard touchdown pass last week. And Jalen Lane, who almost got into the end zone last week too with a big catch down the right sideline. Lots of moving parts in this one. Javonte Williams, Corey Krosky-Merritt too. You got 2 guys who are going to be able to run the ball. Lots to like. Felix, start me off.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing you want when you look at this game, it's the Coors Field defense, and it's the rushing attack for everybody that's attacking the Cowboys. It's been the main problem for them. And Corey Krosky-Merritt has shown that he's going to be the main dude there. He does get split carries with Nichols and somebody else, and I think we just play Bill here. Bill and Jaden Daniels, and Zach Ertz, the most reliable tight end of all time, probably. I could, those are going to be my 3 favorite plays. I'll probably sprinkle in some Luke McCaffrey, but I'm not. I get the Chris Moore play. I understand you're saving so much salary. How do you even lose with it since he's going to get some work? I don't know. I feel like that'll be like the way I can beat other players. It's just like maybe I can find something similar or cheaper, or not cheaper, obviously, but like in that same price range and find a better play out of there.
Yeah, and it kind of goes into the part 2 where it's going to be very high end, right? So you kind of want to pick and choose. You can eat a lot of chalk. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be like against this game. I'm not going to say anyone in this game is a bad play, but like it would be very easy to get 100% ownership in this game, right? Like in terms of combined ownership, and you kind of want to aim well below that in the milli in terms of like picking your pieces. But it's like if you start off a lineup with Daniels, Javonte Williams, Chris Moore, and CeeDee Lamb, well, you're well above 100% just combined ownership already, and then you still have over half your team to fill out. So, look, Deebo out is a big deal. You saw Jaden Daniels kind of relies on him on the outside, and in the slot too. But I think I just keep coming back to the fact that Ertz is just going to be the guy that he looks to every single time over the middle. And Ertz looked good last game. Had the touchdown too. Had the touchdown late on. 3,800 is too cheap for this spot just because of all the circumstances around him. Chris Moore is going to play the entire game, but then you have a really big question mark of who is going to play the second most snaps. And if you said Jalen Lane is going to play just as many snaps as Chris Moore, Jalen Lane is 5 times better play than Chris Moore purely because he's going to be incredibly lower owned. And that's the part is if you get Jalen Lane at 7% and Chris Moore at 35%, you would take your chance on Jalen Lane, at 7% most of the time. That's not to say that either is a bad play. I think they're both good plays in a vacuum. It's just the reality is like Chris Moore at 3K is this Cowboys defense. It's like, God, man, I can't come to the grips of it. It's like so easy to double stack Moore and Ertz with Daniels. I'm just like, killing me. And it's like, if I want to get different though, it would be through Jalen Lane, who I think would get more work on the outside than Luke McCaffrey. And that would be my big take is that Jalen Lane catches a big touchdown tomorrow at lower ownership in a good spot. Yeah. Will they throw the ball enough though, Felix?
I just think everybody is showing that they can run the ball on the Cowboys defense. I wouldn't mind a Jaden Daniels, JCM, Jalen Lane, or Ertz, like mixing it up that way. I wouldn't be like, I don't mind the quarterback running back combo here because not only do I wouldn't be mad if it was just a quarterback running back like just JCM and Jaden Daniels. They just rush the ball all day on them, and they pass the way down with Zach Ertz, but he doesn't get the touchdowns. And then you can bring it back with Pickens and CeeDee Lamb or something crazy.
Yeah, and let's talk about Pickens too. 7,300 won't be owned at all. It's like if you really wanted to wreck leverage off CeeDee Lamb being chalk, like right, there's a lot of plays that you can get slightly different in this game, and still be a part of this very popular game for the most part. And it's just a big question mark. You have Turpin back too for the Cowboys. He's going to make his return, it looks. So just be slightly cautious with it. My main team, I've made it a point since the start of since that Giants game against the Cowboys. I literally said I'm going to stack against the Cowboys every single time. I'm not going to turn my back on it now. So I'm going to have plenty of this chalk. But I'm going to make sure I bump up Jalen Lane. I'm going to make sure I bump up Luke McCaffrey. I'm going to make sure I bump up even Jake Ferguson to a degree, right? Where these lower owned pieces in this game that could go off a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, it's tough to get away from, but
one way to play is just full fade that game and hope it doesn't go off like everybody thinks it does. That's just the way to get a little, very different and then just avoid it.
It's just like Bengals games last year. A lot of people love to compare the Cowboys to the Bengals last year. The Bengals went 14-7. Right? It's possible. It's
possible. I won't be one of those people, but I mean to get different, you can do that.
We'll give the Jay Labute of the week here in a bit. CVH, okay. Give me 5 more minutes, then I'll ask Felix for his full sneaky play of the week, and then we'll get into our pick 6. Last game of the day, though, we got news from Schefter, who said Josh Jacobs is a true game time decision. I know that we had our guy in the chat here. What was it? Bangjoy or something like that? Brandjoy, who called that and then mentioned they elevated running back. That running back was Pierre Strong. So, this game is going to be a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit of a question mark on the slate. And Josh Jacobs, 7,800, he is going to be a good play. He went off last week, too, against the Bengals in a great spot.
Yeah.
This is a good spot against the Cardinals, on the road in an indoor game. Jacoby Brissett, who played well last week, by the way, was just incredible. And then you get Jordan Love with, a bunch of wide receivers. I'm just going to go ahead and phrase it this way, too, because I think it's more fun to talk about the possibility of Jacobs being out. If Josh Jacobs is out, how much Emmanuel Wilson are you playing tomorrow, Felix?
100%.
100% Emmanuel Wilson. I like it. I like it.
I mean, it would be if he's out, that's a smash play. Not like the Cardinals defense isn't elite. They're not bad. They're not I wouldn't full on target them. But that price point and the way that the Packers run their offense, it is a lot through the running back position. And not only that, Emmanuel Wilson has shown that he can handle it. He's a above average running back. He's not elite. He's not going to be one of the top 5 running backs ever, but he will be on the upper side of the running back plays. He showed explosiveness. So, if he's there with the full workload, I mean, Pierre Strong, he's all right. What I'm saying, he had some good games for the Patriots and the Browns. But I would be excited to play Emmanuel Wilson if he was the full. I mean, would love to have the other guy that always keeps getting injured, but Emmanuel Wilson's a good play as well.
Chris Brooks?
No, the rookie last year. I can't think of the sophomore.
Oh God!
Would love to see him. The USC guy. I can't think of his name right at this top of my head. One of my higher owned baseball guys.
You're going to kill me now because I really want to remember
Brandon Lloyd. It's right. Lloyd. That's not right, but I can't remember the last name or the first name.
Yeah, this is what's killing me, man. Because now you're making me want to really remember it too. You talk about a guy who just someone in the chat's gonna get it. Yeah, Marshawn Lloyd. There we go.
Marshawn Lloyd. Thank you.
How much it pisses me off when the name is that obvious.
Yeah,
we're just completely.
He even said Lloyd. I'm like, I don't know.
Completely blanking on Marshawn Lloyd. That just shows you, how easy it is for injuries to derail someone's first couple years of their career. I'm with you. I'd be 100% Emmanuel Wilson as well at 4K. Allow me to spend up everywhere else, and then it's eatable chalk at that point, and you're getting a great spot with a running back who should be able to carry most of the load. Talk to me about the rest of the Packers and Cardinals game here, Felix.
When we talk about players that spread the ball around, Jordan Love is the ultimate. I'm going to spread the ball around, though he does have his targets, and this is one of the teams that I like to target tight ends against. And Tucker Kraft has shown that he is a top 5 tight end, and though I want more out of him. Like I want even more production, even though he gets a lot. I want even more, and I think this is what if for some reason Josh Jacobs is limited, I think they funnel it through Tucker Kraft through the short game, through him, and then I can't play any of the wide receivers. If you want to pair him up, I don't mind if you pair him with any of them, Golden, Dubs, or who else? Not Wicks is out. I think he's also questionable. Regardless, I'm going to be playing it through Kraft. That's one of my guys.
100%. Alexander mentions that you were on Booty last week.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're going to have maybe another sneaky play. Obviously, it's harder to pinpoint those week in and week out, but you set the expectation, you set the bar high. You're going to have to give more people the love. I'm with you. Kraft is a top 5 tight end in the league right now. Wasn't needed as much as we were hoping for last week, but he did score a touchdown.
He did. Yeah.
Was good enough. Juan Pena, I'll get to your question in just a second. I won't forget about you, but I do want to answer this question here from P. Lally, who mentions, how do you game plan if Jacobs news is late? I'll say this, P. Lally. All 4 of these games late are good enough to have lots of moving parts where if you did want Jacobs or if you did want to leave a spot for Wilson and have 3v3s or 4v4s or 2v2s, right, you're going to have that option. I'm not going to be really kind of paying attention to that because I'm going to be so overexposed to the Commanders and I'm going to be so overexposed to the Cowboys. I'm going to love the Colts and Chargers game, and then I'm going to be with a lot of Wilson and Jacobs, presumably a lot of Jacobs, and then pivoting and late. Hopefully we get more news in the morning though. That will be something that maybe by noon, maybe that picture becomes clear, right? Maybe by 12:30. The later the news, the better, obviously. But yeah, I think there's enough games starting at 4 that are great that you don't have to completely derail a huge plan, right? I would
you could if you want to put them at the flex, you can always switch it out for George Pickens, which is only $500 off. You have options.
It's the big thing too is if you did want to pivot to Wilson there too, let's say that you had Jalen Lane, for example, and then all of a sudden you're able to upgrade to from Jalen Lane to Ladd McConkey. Yeah, exactly. Or Tyler Warren, right? Obviously different positions and stuff, but you're going to have the ability to upgrade, especially with the Commanders' value at that point too.
But put them in your flex. Don't leave them in your top 2.
Wilson clearly would be a better play than any Commander value, right, Felix?
Yeah. If in that scenario, yes.
Jacoby Brissett looked good last week, only 4,500 too. This is a tough defense to go against. Do you think he can do it again?
It's a tougher task against this defense, but I do think he presents, this. I don't know. It's a tough task. I was kind of in a little bit on Marvin Harrison last week, but against this defense, I don't know if he's gonna. It's a tough. I'm not gonna play him. I'm trying to make my mind up as we talk, but I'm not gonna play him. I'll be still on some Trey McBride. Sorry, and but I'm kind of out on the. I don't like to play anything against the Packers D.
Yeah, I'll be on some Trey McBride as well. The ownership's decent, but it's everyone else in this game, in terms of the Cardinals side, I'm out on. I would be hoping for more news, but then I would play the tight ends a little bit with Kraft, McBride, and then maybe just a touch of Dobbs, Golden, and Harrison, because that 5K wide receiver position, something that I don't want to completely abandon. A point I made in college football, I'm trying to get more of those 3K wide receivers as well. Another thing, I want to get more of those mid-range wide receivers too, where it also allows me more pivots later on. Especially that Jacobs news. Juan, you mentioned since Debo's out, who for your wide receiver 1, 2, 3 tight end and flex spot? If you ask me to rank, it's tough with a lot of names on there. But if I had to name my top 5 names there, man, I'll do the top wide receivers for you. Devontae Adams with Puka out. That's the clear guy you throw in there. Yeah. I would go Addison over Boutte, Ayomanor, McCaffrey, without a doubt. And then I think Johnston or Boutte at that point. I think it's Johnston, QJ.
Yeah, QJ.
Adams, QJ, Addison. I would throw in Krosky Merritt at flex.
At flex, yeah.
And then tight end would be Ertz.
Yeah.
Look, is Kittle 100%?
Kittle's back. Kittle should be back this week, but I'd still go Ertz just for the. Yeah. He's going to have more work than any of them. Yeah.
Great Ertz spot. And then you would have Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Taylor at your running back 1 and 2. All right. Yeah. Lots of names. Lots of names. Yeah, I agree.
That was a lot. I don't know about 80. It was like a little too overwhelming for me. I
did pull it up earlier. I did say I wouldn't forget. I just didn't want to forget for him. All right. Felix, time for our plays of the day. If you can find another Kayshon Boutte, that would be awesome. But no pressure. No pressure. We'll go ahead and get into our plays of the day, and then we will get into some props that we like as well. Felix, are you ready to give your props out? Or your play of the day?
I have I kind of gave it away earlier, but I am going to be playing Courtland Sutton at under 5%. He'll be my contrarian play that I'm going to stick on a lot of teams. And then at tight end, I'm also going to be playing a lot of Taysom Hill. Those are going to be my two plays that, I don't know what Taysom Hill's projection ownership was, but Sutton was underneath 5, and I think he just wrecked shop this week against the Giants defense.
Both those guys will be completely contrarian, and Sutton's case too, just because not a lot of people are going to be going to the Broncos pass catchers, but obviously it has 20+ point upside. I like those calls there. Taysom Hill and Courtland Sutton for you. I will go do I want to go with it? This would be the grossest play of all time. It doesn't work out. People would have the I'm going to go the safer route. Rico Dowdle. All right.
Okay. Oh yeah, that was a good play. Yeah.
Anywhere under 7 or 8%. I believe that Rico Dowdle is still the main guy in Carolina. This Jets defense is terrible. Just defensively, they're a mess right now. Aaron Glenn doesn't have them right. Rico Dowdle continues the hot hand over the last 2 weeks and makes it a third straight week of huge success. No ownership on the hottest running back in the league. That doesn't make sense to me, man. Rico Dowdle, my play of the day on DraftKings. All right, Felix, you ready for our pick 6?
Yes, I have 2. I had 3, but I just realized that the Sunday night game was part of my pick 6. So yeah, but I can make up another one for sure.
We can bend the rules. We can put in the pick 6 there. I mean, that would be nothing bad at all to have the Sunday night game in there. I won't object to it. It'll give the people a sweat later on when we're winning it as well. Give people a chance to maybe hedge too. Right. Let's go ahead and let's start off with the Sunday night game. Talk about it here while I sip.
With CMC under 63.5 rushing yards, he hasn't hit over 60 rushing yards all season. I just don't think that this is the game where he does it either. I think it's more through the passing game. It's a lot of dump offs because they're going to stack the box against Mac Jones like they keep doing. And I think he's going to get the receiving work, not the rushing work. So I think it's another game where he just cruises on through the passing game.
Yeah, I like it. CMC under 63.5, and there is a lot of notes that I have made in recent weeks. The Atlanta defense is just that good.
Yeah.
They're just that good. And the Bills struggled against them heavily.
Yes. Yep.
And it was not a fluke. You go back to recent games too. If you're just looking at the Falcons, that defense might be one of the top 5 defenses in the league. I like that under a lot there, Felix, no doubt. I will be on the Sunday night show with Kurt too, and we'll talk about that game in general too. So that'll be fun to do. We might have to double dip that one when we do our pick 6 on that show as well.
Yeah.
You might already have this one because I know you kind of mentioned it, but I love it too. It's the over 63.5 on Rico Dowdle rushing yards in the Jets game.
Okay. Oh, can we double up on the pick 6? Or is that not allowed?
No, we can double up on it. We can double up, and then we can team the last one there. So Rico Dowdle over. You've already heard the case from us, but 63.5 is way too light. We think he's going to be the bell cow in that room. Chuba Hubbard's going to take a little bit of a back seat. People might be saying you don't lose your job because of injury. Well, your replacement going off for 400 yards in 2 weeks is a little bit to say, hey, take a week to get healthy, man. Yes, guys, hit the like button. Over 200 people watching. Hit that subscribe button as well. Greatly appreciate y'all for watching. CPA okay, you know it too. Yes, sir. Like button. Good show, fellas. We appreciate you guys all for watching. What's your third pick 6 here, Felix?
The third pick 6, I have 63.5 receiving yards for Courtland Sutton.
Over 63.5 receiving yards. We're on that 63 number. Oh my God, is that 3 straight 63 numbers?
Yeah,
that is 3 straight 63.5. And we're on the under on McCaffrey. We're on the over on Sutton and Rico Dowdle. I got that in there too. That's just funny. I just noted that 63.5, all three of these. I am going to go to the Browns game here, and I am, it's one of those things too where I pulled it up and I kind of got like slightly disheartened by it. I'm actually going to pivot away from it. And I don't want to go with the under that I had originally if you're going to be high on Rashee Rice. I'm going to go to the Patriots game here, and we're actually going to go to the touchdown route. Ramondre Stevenson, more than a half touchdown.
Ooh, I like it.
Multiplier. Patriots getting to the box. He's the main goal line guy. Ramondre Stevenson, touchdown scorer. All right, Felix. Do you have any more? Do we need to team up?
I had the Rico Dowdle receiving yards over 11.5.
Ooh, we can't double up.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Can we double it? Okay, so we can't double up on the same player. Okay, I got it. Yeah, if you have another one, go ahead. If not, I'll take a couple seconds to get one.
Yeah, take your time. I am going to go to the Colts and Chargers game here. I'm going to see if there's anything great in there. I do have like mental notes made of like, oh, Dan, did I like this? Did I not? I'm gonna look this up real quick. All right.
Okay. While you look that up, I will go Mason Taylor over 41.5 receiving yards.
The greatest part about that was I was debating on making Fields my play of the day.
Yeah.
And I decided against it to go with Rico Dowdle. I wanted to look up the Chargers room real quick, and I'm gonna pull up NFL Pro one last time before we get off on the show.
I love that you're pulling up there. I can't. It's hard to bet on my own Chargers because I just I want to bet on everybody and bet the overs, but I can't do that.
Well, the one thing I wanted to look at was the receiving work in that in that room, right? And especially in the running back room.
Yeah.
So last week, how did that look? Was it Hassan Haskins only 8 routes? Kamani Vidal.
Yeah, it was all Vidal. Yeah.
You know what that means? I know. This is the first time I'm going all 3 overs, but because my unders haven't been hitting, except for like this. Did you see Justice Hill in the first drive last week?
No.
Yeah, he freaking hit it on the first carry.
Really?
Yeah, everything else was hitting. Like I think we went 4 of 6. So I was thankful it wasn't 5 of 6. But like literally the first carry, I'm like, well, pick 6 is dead.
Yeah.
Luckily, I mentioned, it was 100% boost. I'm going to go with Kamani Vidal over 14.5 receiving yards, 21 routes last week. Very positive game script. This could be another similar situation too, where it's just kind of a neutral game script. I think last week too, if you really kind of want to break it down, 21 routes, man. We can check down to him a few times. 4 targets, 14.5 yards receiving for Kamani Vidal, 27.5x multiplier. Do we got any 30% boost? We got to. We always get a 30% boost from our friends at Pick 6. We got a winnings boost pack. You know what it is. 30%, Felix. Let's go ahead and apply that reward.
Yep.
$50 down. What does that win? $16.25. If that wins, we'll give away a $100 ticket on next week's show for DraftKings. All right. I'll post this into the Discord as well. It's fun to play the overs, Jetty. You're exactly right, man. Yeah. I've been missing on the under. I think I missed like 3 straight weeks of unders, man. I think sometimes it's best to maybe go back to it next week. But this week we'll take a break from the unders on my case. Post that in the Discord here. We appreciate y'all for watching. For Felix and for if we don't win the Millie, then we really hope it's one of y'all. You have a great night. Get to close down a bar, celebrate winning that Millie tomorrow. That'd be something that would be nice to do. Again, we appreciate y'all for watching. Have a great rest of y'all's day, and bye-bye.